Looks like then it's Bryant McFadden, former Florida State Seminole, a Super Bowl winner with the Pittsburgh Steelers. You see him now on CBS Sports HQ. You also see him and hear him on the All Things Covered podcast alongside Pro Bowl defensive back Patrick Peterson. We'll have Bryant McFadden on to talk about a bunch of things, including his alma mater, Florida State, getting ready for the Florida Gators about 48 hours from now on Black Friday. We'll also talk a little Trevor Lawrence and a little Jaguars with Bryant McFadden coming up in less than 20 minutes. Later on in the 8 o'clock hour, my man Mike Huguenin. He has covered college football for many years. He's now with On3.com. There's not a lot of human beings on planet Earth that I enjoy talking college football with more than my man Mike Huguenin. We will talk Florida State. We will talk rivalry week as well, coming up with Mike Huguenin later on in the 8 o'clock hour. In the 9 o'clock hour, former Jaguar, Pro Bowl, offensive tackle, and my buddy Leon Searcy will join me at about 9:15 to preview the Jaguars and the Ravens. Of course, that's a Sunday 1 o'clock kick right here on 1010XL. And then finally, at the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour, Ira Schofel, warchant.com to give us the Florida State side of the Gators and the Noles this Friday night. So obviously we got a lot to do. We are glad you are with us. As always, here on Hacker After Dark, we kick it off with a big deal of the night and Dylan Denmark. Let's do that right now.
Time now for the big deal of the night.
What's the big deal?
What is the big deal?
No big deal.
It is a big deal.
On Hacker After Dark.
It's really a two-parter, the big deal of the night. Majority of it is about the Florida State game. I did want to mention this for Gator fans, college football fans, heck, high school football fans in our area. Earlier today, Denny Thompson and I did our Gator Bites podcast that we do weekly. You can check it out on 1010XL.com. You can find it on the 1010XL Facebook page. You can find it on the 1010XL YouTube channel. It's all over the place. About a 30, 35-minute podcast. Probably the first 10 to 15 minutes of that podcast today was about the Marcus Stokes situation. For people that don't know, Denny, who is the owner of 6 Points, a quarterback training facility here in town. Of course, you hear him all over the 1010XL radio dial. He is the quarterback coach, basically, the quarterback trainer of Marcus Stokes. Marcus Stokes, for those of you that don't know, the quarterback at Nice, was committed to the University of Florida. A video came out last weekend showing him singing song lyrics, rapping to a song that included a racial slur. The video went viral to the point of TMZ, Fox News, Denmark, Jason Whitlock was doing something on it. I mean, it is completely blown up. And the bottom line is that Florida is no longer recruiting Marcus Stokes. They've pulled his scholarship. And I think if you are a Gator fan or a college football fan or, heck, just a sports fan here in Jacksonville, you'll find that conversation very interesting that Denny and I had. Again, Denny knows Marcus almost better than anybody, has been training him for years, and certainly Denny has an interesting perspective. And I'll give Denny Thompson credit. He was pretty open about things that Florida has told him during this process, how Marcus is dealing with this situation, kind of what's next for Marcus Stokes. So if you missed that, the Gator Bites podcast, the first 15 minutes or so, you can find it on 1010XL.com, on the 1010XL Facebook page, on the 1010XL YouTube page. All right, speaking of Florida football, 48 hours from now, less than 48 hours from now, Chief Osceola is going to make that ride to the 50-yard line with Renegade. They're going to throw that spear down at the 50-yard line. I don't know if you know this, Denmark, but there was a time where I wasn't exactly an objective broadcast journalist. I was more a guy that, I don't know, maybe bled orange and blue from pretty much my birth up until, I'd say, the age of 25, 26.
Screamed at other fans,
wanted to mix it up with other fans, get in there a little bit, make it happen. And I always thought it would be absolutely hilarious if Renegade, again, this was a more childish time that I was at, but I always thought it'd be hilarious if, Renegade, when he was riding out to the 50-yard line with Chief Osceola, had some bad Chinese food or something and dropped one right before they dropped the spear. Unfortunately, that never happened. And now I hope
dirty to me, and I kind of like it.
Exactly. I don't want that to happen now, right? Now I'm an objective broadcast journalist, so I would hate for Renegade to have any stomach issues leading Osceola out there. It is one of the great traditions in college football. I kid because I care, and I've said all week here on this program, I don't like Florida's chances. I'm not breaking any news there. I don't think Florida State is, a 9.5, 10?
Now 10.5.
10.5, it's going up. They're a 10.5-point favorite on Friday night. It's clear the Gators are coming in wounded, and that might be an understatement. Whatever that was in Nashville, it was one of the worst regular season losses that Florida has had in quite some time. You combine that with the fact that you're going into a place that smells blood in the water. Florida has given Florida State 4 beatings in a row. Florida State has not won a game in this series since, I believe, 2017. So those Seminole fans are going to want revenge on Friday night. And look, give Florida State credit. Give Mike Norvell credit. They are the better football team. Clearly, they are the better football team. They have the better talent. They are playing the better football. Having said that, there is probably a little bit of expectation on Florida State to win the game. It's a bad Florida team. If the plan goes according to how it's supposed to go, this will be Billy Napier's worst team in Gainesville. You would hope. You would expect this to be Billy Napier's worst team. So Florida State should win the game. I expect Florida State to win the game. But more importantly, Florida State needs to win this game. And if they do, and if they win it going away by 14, 17, 20 points plus, well, then they run the state of Florida right now. I mean, you beat Miami by 42. If you turn around a couple of weeks later and give the Gators the beating on national television on Black Friday night, good heavens. I mean, this is their state for the time being. And you have got to tip your cap to Mike Norvell and to Jordan Travis and to Florida State because they were awful 2 years ago. And in fact, Florida State was very bad last year. And in 1 year's time, they've gone from very bad and not qualifying for a bowl game to maybe finding themselves with 10 wins. They beat Florida and they win their bowl game. It's a 10-win Florida State team. Who on earth, other than just people that bleed garnet and gold, I suppose, but who on earth would have predicted 10 wins for Florida State coming into the year? And their 3 losses could have very easily won all 3 of those games. I mean, Wake Forest, they were right there. NC State, they should have won. They blew that. And Clemson, they came storming back, and Clemson had to survive. A majority of Florida State's wins were blowouts. Now, I will admit that Florida State, and look, the ACC's terrible. The ACC is awful. So they took care of what they needed to take care of. You beat the crap out of Georgia Tech and Syracuse and Boston College. Well, you're supposed to do that. Those teams are awful. And to Florida State's credit, they did that. What I find interesting about Friday night, and again, I think Florida State's going to win the game. But there is no doubt who's played the tougher competition. Florida's lost to a lot of the tougher competition, but you take Florida's schedule and you take Florida State's schedule and you mold them together, it's not even close. Florida has seen the better athletes. They've played the better lines of scrimmage, if you will. I don't know if that'll matter on Friday night because I think Florida State's better all the way around. But if it's a close game in the fourth quarter, does Florida's experience in games like that, games like Tennessee, games like LSU, games like Kentucky, will that benefit them in the fourth quarter in Tallahassee? The only common thing here about Florida and Florida State, schedule-wise, they both played LSU. Again, I don't think you have to be the biggest college football fan to realize this. That LSU team that Florida State played on Labor Day weekend is not the LSU team right now. Not even close. It's a great win for Florida State. Don't get me wrong. A terrific win. But if LSU and Florida State were playing tomorrow in New Orleans, who are you picking to win that game? Yeah, I would too. Because LSU is clearly different. Florida played LSU when they were a better football team. And looking ahead, Florida State fans are saying, oh, yeah, right. Well, keep in mind, in September of 2023, guess who you open up with again? LSU. This time in Orlando. So we'll be able to see Brian Kelly's second year opening night compared to Brian Kelly's first year on opening night. But back to the point at hand, the game will be heard right here on 1010XL, 92.5 FM, the Gators and the Noles. What does a loss mean for Florida? Well, a loss means that you lost to every rival you got. You lost to Tennessee. You lost to LSU. You lost to Georgia. And you would have then lost to Florida State. You throw in the Vandy loss and the Kentucky loss. Yikes. It's not good. That means your only wins this year came against Eastern Washington, South Florida, who else? South Carolina, Missouri. I mean, you're talking about a Utah was the best win, clearly. And again, that Utah team probably a lot different now than they were opening night, very similar with LSU. So not the year that Billy Napier and the Gators wanted. I still think Billy Napier is in very good standing with Gator fans. I know a lot of people that are still very excited about the direction of the program, but that Vanderbilt game was bad. I think Napier called it a reality check in the post-game press conference. Well, it wasn't just a reality check for the players. It was a reality check for the fan base. How far this team has to go. And I think they're willing to travel with Napier as long as there is significant progress shown next year. If you go 6-6 this year, boy, you better go 8-4 or 9-3 at a minimum next year, or people will start talking. And that's what happens in the Southeastern Conference. There's no shame in that. You know about it when you take the job. 6-6 year one, all right. You go 6-6, 7-5 year two, people are going to have a problem with that. So it'll be a big year. Now, on the flip side, if Florida wins the game, well, at that point, the Vanderbilt game is completely gone. Nobody even cares about that outside of the people in Nashville, Tennessee. If Florida goes into Tallahassee on Saturday night and upsets Florida State in front of a national TV audience, well, then that's the best win of the year. That gives Billy Napier and that staff unbelievable momentum heading into the transfer portal. So it's a big game for Florida. For Florida State, again, I think it's simple. If you win, you control the state. If you lose, I think the narrative drastically changes for the Noles. Great year, terrific year, go into a bowl game, everything's awesome. But if you lose to a Florida team that just lost to Vanderbilt, it won't be catastrophic. I don't want to say that. But it will be a shot to the solar plexus, as Gordon Soley used to say on Saturday Morning Wrestling. It will definitely be a shot to the solar plexus if Florida goes in there as a 10.5-point dog and knocks off the Florida State Seminoles. So we got a ton to do tonight here on Hacker After Dark. Again, we'll talk Jaguars and Ravens, a lot more on Florida and Florida State as well. Let's kick it off with Bryant McFadden, a former Florida State Seminole defensive back. He went on to win a Super Bowl in the National Football League with the Pittsburgh Steelers. You see him now on CBS Sports HQ. You can hear him on the All Things Covered podcast alongside perennial All-Pro Patrick Peterson. It is Thanksgiving Eve, a Wednesday night in Jacksonville, Florida, with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Jacksonville, we're glad you're with us here on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
He's not Pistol Pete, he's Pete Prisco.
Been on the wanted list almost 20 years.
CBS Sports senior NFL writer Pete Prisco joins the Frangie Show Friday afternoons on 1010XL. Brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles.
Exit is now United Real Estate Gallery. Same leadership, new name. Expect the same great services for buyers and sellers. How about this? 100% compensation plans available for real estate agents. You deserve more? Find your freedom with United. Exit is now United Real Estate Gallery. Pretty incredible. Join UnitedGallery.com to learn more about a career in real estate.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford.
Hello, Jacksonville. I'm going to get right to the heart of the matter. We have had 485 shootings in 2022. This includes murders and individuals being shot. Jacksonville is well on its way to being the murder capital of Florida per capita population again. The answer to the problem is simple. We as a community have got to come together and encourage one another to break the code of silence. Jacksonville cannot solve the problem, and they were not there when it happened. They desperately need our help. We have got to say enough is enough. I'm not going to take any more. Our family could be the next victim. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think.
For information about Mad Dad, go to Mad Dad's Jacksonville Chapter Facebook or MadDad'sJacksonville.com.
Googans, do you suffer with neck or back pain? My friend Dr. Alan Nathans at Disc Centers of America on Bay Meadows Road helps people diagnosed with bulging, herniated, and degenerated discs, sciatica, or stenosis. Dr. Nathans uses that DRX 9000 non-surgical spinal decompression table to gently unbulge and unherniate discs that are causing sciatica. Don't do another cortisone injection. Stay active and healthy as you get older. Dancing at 50, golf at 60, the river run at 70. Yes, yes, and yes. DrNathans.com.
Men suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE? Regardless of age or past medical history, you'll see instant results on your first visit at Prime Men's Medical Center. And for unlimited time, your consultation and first treatment are totally free. Call now 904-664-8217.
Need cash for the holidays or to pay off credit cards right now? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. Prosser here. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low rate. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days, and a $50,000 loan will only cost you around $300 a month. Use that money to pay off high-interest credit cards or consolidate other debt or even start a home improvement project. With Loan Pronto, you can access up to 95% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need an appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Do it now before the holidays. Call Loan Pronto at 904-999-1508. 904-999-1508. You could use that extra cash for the holidays, and you can get it with Loan Pronto. Also visit loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Hey, it's Angela and Brian Wall. How many companies do you know in this day and age that actually want their potential customers to call their competition and get quotes from them?
That's what WonderWorld wants you to do. WonderWorld knows there are other window companies out there, but we also know those other guys. When compared to WonderWorld, they can't offer you the quality at the price that WonderWorld can.
And with WonderWorld, you get the absolute best guarantee there is in the window replacement business.
If anything goes wrong with your new WonderWorld windows, 5 years from now, 10, 15, 50, WonderWorld and I will be there to fix it for you. You get peace of mind with WonderWorld, and to top it off, WonderWorld windows increase the value of your home. So look what you get with WonderWorld. Quality windows, low price, the best guarantee in the business, energy savings, and an increase in the value of your home. A win-win for you.
Call WindowWorld today and get your free in-home estimate, or see them online at windowworldneflorida.com.
WindowWorld, simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
WindowWorld also offers energy-efficient doors and siding.
Lauren Brooks here. Jack's USL, the group bringing professional men's and women's soccer to our area, is hosting a series of World Cup watch parties. This Friday, come out to Colhane's Irish Pub in Tinseltown to see the United States men's national team take on England. Food, drink, prizes, and goals! Party starts at noon. What better way to enjoy the Thanksgiving holiday? There's nothing like the excitement of World Cup action. Come on this Friday to see the United States men's national team take on England at Colhane's Irish Pub in Tinseltown. RSVP at jacksusl.com.
Stop wasting time waiting for tires at a tire store. Try Go Mobile Tires. We're a mobile tire business that comes to where you live, work, or play. Check us out on the web at gomotires.com or call us at 904-907-0999.
This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now, another interview on the Farah and Farah phone line, brought to you by the accident attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. Thanksgiving on the horizon, Black Friday, Florida and Florida State at Doak Campbell Stadium, and then, of course, on Sunday, Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens come in to play the Jacksonville Jaguars. There's a lot going on. Let's talk about all of it with former Florida State Seminole and a Super Bowl winner in the National Football League. His name is Bryant McFadden. He's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Bryant, how we doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for having me.
Hey, buddy. Always appreciate the time. You can check him out on Twitter at BMAC_Sports Talk. You can also see him on CBS Sports HQ. And Bryant, congratulations on the success. You and Patrick Peterson, the podcast you guys have put together, really a good one, man. Congrats.
Oh, thank you kindly. Yeah, it's just another way for, fans and audience to kind of get to know who Pat is, and along with myself as well. Of course, we always, highlighting Minnesota Vikings activity. Unfortunately, it wasn't a lot to highlight this past Sunday, recapping the Cowboys game. But in all, it's been a very, very entertaining and exciting year for the Vikings, and along with what Pat has been doing as an individual.
No question about it. Vikings, one of the surprise teams this year. All right, Bryant, let's talk about a game you're very familiar with. It's Florida and Florida State on Friday night in Tallahassee. Boy, what about your Seminoles, man? What a job by Mike Norvell this year. Maybe a 10-win team when all is said and done. What are your thoughts on the Noles to this point?
And I've been really pleased with what I've seen. We've dealt with some adversity throughout the year because we missed a lot of key contributors missed some time. And I think if we were fully healthy for the majority of the year, we would be in a better place record-wise. But in all, just being able to fight through the adversity, and you talk about potentially having an opportunity to win 10 ball games, a drastic improvement from what we saw last year, only winning 5 games, not even getting close to a bowl berth. So you look at the development, you look at the growth, you look at how organized things are looking on both sides of the football. I mean, you have to feel excited about where we are currently and where we're going under Mike Norvell. So hats off to his entire staff along with him, and also to the players buying into the system, being able to execute everything the coaches want them to do.
Bryant, as a guy that played for the great Bobby Bowden in Tallahassee, you know this, man. Mike Norvell wasn't on the best footing coming into the year. You could argue that he should be on the ballot at least for National Coach of the Year. What a resurgence for Norvell there in Tallahassee.
No question. I think it was just about, being a little patient and allowing him to get the players that fits what he does. Understanding his coaching method, schematically speaking, being able to fit the scheme, and then just executing. I think one of the best telling signs about Mike Norvell is just seeing the growth from Jordan Travis. I mean, Jordan Travis, especially over the last 6-7 ball games, he's probably playing some of the best football in his collegiate career. And I think the best is yet to come. And we know Norvell is kind of hands-on when it comes to, the quarterbacks and play calling and things like that. So that has really been a highlight for our success, because you're only as good as your quarterback. The quarterback is a very, very important position. It's the most important position on the football field because they determine what happens when it comes to scoring points. If you don't have a quarterback, the field feels like 150 yards. I don't care what level of football you're playing on. If you don't have a quarterback, the field is no longer 100 yards. It feels like 150. And because of the growth that we're seeing from Jordan Travis, our offense has taken flight. Also, let me give some tribute to the offensive line group. I mean, the big hogs in the trenches, they have really balled. And for such a long time, Ryan, it felt like the offensive line wise, it has always been the Achilles heel for our offense. But now they're one of the strong suits on our entire team. So there are a lot of bright spots we can highlight. I know we don't have enough time, but in all, man, great job by the staff, great job by the players. And the job is not done. It's not done. Friday night, as you mentioned, let's make it a Black Friday for Florida, and not in a good way.
Former Seminole defensive back Bryant McFadden here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. The one thing that Mike Norvell has done, Bryant, is he has just revolutionized the transfer portal. I mean, I think you look at Florida State, maybe Southern Cal, teams that, I mean, the portal has changed the trajectory of their program in 2022, and you start with those receivers, right? Johnny Wilson's just a freak with Pittman, Jared Verse on the D-line. Whatever Norvell's selling, boy, they're certainly buying out of the transfer portal.
And Norvell has been a hot coach, not just recruiting, but the transfer portal, as you mentioned. I mean, if you go back and look at Jermaine Johnson a year ago, you know, he was a transfer that came over from Georgia, ended up being a first-round pick. I think we had, what was the other D lineman that we got from South Carolina as well, ended up making the roster with the Rams, along with Jermaine Johnson. So this year, you're right. No one knew who Johnny Wilson was, right? No one really knew who Pittman was at Oregon. What about Trey Benson, you know, running back who's come on and really dominated? You know, we look at what we've done, then you look at Bethune, the linebacker from Central Florida that we got also. The transfer portal has been extremely good to Florida State, and I don't see that slowing down anytime soon. If you're a transfer, me personally, just follow the growth, follow the success. If you're a transfer and you're about to be in the portal, Florida State got to be a spot you got to look forward to, because if you look at the guys who have transferred into the program, Jamie Robinson is another guy who came from South Carolina who's going to be playing on Sunday. Everyone who's basically transferred into Florida State has really benefited from success, successful play, and they have really flourished and developed tremendously. And like I said, man, Jordan Travis is a transfer as well. You know, even though he didn't transfer, he was there before Norvell, but he's a transfer guy as well. So, man, transfer portal has been extremely good at Florida State.
A couple of more for Bryant McFadden. You see him on CBS Sports HQ. You can also follow him on Twitter at BMAC_Sports Talk. Bryant, I want to sneak in a couple of Jaguar questions before we get there. I'm just curious, a guy like you who won a Super Bowl, you know what it takes at the next level. Anthony Richardson, the quarterback of the Gators. People are all over the map on him. Some people love him at the next level. Some people think it's going to be a growing process. He had all the expectations coming in this year. Quite frankly, hasn't lived up to them. But again, I don't think the talent is as good in Gainesville overall as maybe people thought. What is your thought on Anthony Richardson moving forward?
I mean, unfortunately for Anthony Richardson, you get the good Anthony Richardson or you get the bad. There's no in between. And that's something that he has to figure out. Remember, for such a long time, when Bo Nix was at Auburn, you got good Bo or bad Bo. And since transferring to Oregon outside of week 1 against UGA, we've been getting the good Bo Nix. Consistency is the most important thing at the quarterback position. And that has been an issue for Anthony Richardson. If you look at the hype he had in the beginning of the year, you look at what he did against Utah, people were ready to put him in the top 5 draft. Right? And then he kind of flatlined a little bit, to say the least. So that's the most important thing about young quarterbacks. You got to find a way to hit that consistent stride. Remember, I can say the same about Jordan Travis. Before this year, he was up and down, you know, but now he's playing consistent football. You don't question the skill set, the talent, athleticism of Anthony Richardson. The only thing you question is consistency. And one thing I know about good quarterbacks in college football, quarterbacks that have a legit shot to play on Sunday, they make everything around them better. Because they're a different skill set. They're a different player. And you have the football in your hand every time. They make everything around them better. They make average pass catchers look above average. They make average offensive linemen look above average. And that has to be his mindset, because I believe he has aspirations to play on the next level. And I think he has a talent. But he just has to become more consistent. And you know what? I hope he's inconsistent Friday night. I'm sorry, Anthony Richardson, but I got to keep it real with you. You can be consistent against any other team, but Friday night, I need him to be inconsistent.
Florida State needs this one, right? They haven't beaten Florida since 2017. It's a big one for the Noles because the Gators are coming in wounded.
No question, they're coming in wounded. You know, and when you have that Gator across the street and it's already been hit by a car and it's still holding on for dear life, come on, bring that monster truck over and run them over it all the way.
Well, I think that might happen on Friday night, Bryant, as a matter of fact.
No question.
I don't like the Florida chances there. All right, as we wrap up with you, Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars. Look, the record isn't great, 3-7. It is what it is. But, man alive, their 7 losses are by 10 points or less. 6 of those losses by 1 possession. They're losing games late, Bryant, but I guess the good thing about that is they're in these games. It's been tough, loss after loss after loss. But, boy, they are battling, which I guess is a good sign.
Yeah, but I really expected more from the Jaguars outside of battling. I mean, their division is bad. The AFC South is bad. And right now, you don't know where to put the Jaguars because they have talent. I mean, if you look at the Jaguars from top to bottom, I think you would probably say just from talent alone, you would probably put them in the top of their division. But for some reason, they just find a way to lose ball games. They find a way to lose ball games. And that's the first telling sign of a team that's bad. Dick LeBeau, who was my defensive coordinator in Pittsburgh, Hall of Fame guy, extremely intelligent, football mind. He used to tell us all the time, remember, a bad team will find a way to lose, and a good team will find a way to win. Every year you see that in the NFL. So Jacksonville got to find a way to win ball games and get out of their own way because there's too much talent on this team for them to have, what'd you say, 7 losses?
Yeah, 3-7.
3-7. Come on, man. That's how. Think about this. You look at the Tennessee Titans. How are they winning ball games? We don't know. But every it seems like more than none. When you look at the scoreboard with Tennessee, they have more points than the team they're playing against. And you know what they're going to do is Derrick Henry, and that's it. But they find ways to win. Jacksonville got to find a way to win. They got too much talent for them to have 7 losses at this point. It'd be one thing if you're playing in a very, very difficult division where you got 3 playoff caliber teams in there. Come on, let's keep it real. The Colts are walking wounded. The Houston Texans are basically a dead body that hasn't been put in the grave yet. So what are you doing, Jacksonville? That's too much talent for you to have 7 losses right now. Hopefully they come off this bye week and really showcase what type of team they can be moving forward because there's too much talent for them to have 7 losses right now.
I think you just answered this question, but so you don't buy into the whole a young team needs to learn how to win philosophy?
I do, but by now you should know how to win.
Yeah.
You're 10 games in. It's one thing, as I stated before, if you're playing in a division that has legit competition, playoff-like competition. The AFC South is a one-team division. There's Tennessee and everyone else. Indianapolis has been a flop. Houston, well, no one really expected anything from them. So Jacksonville, the window of opportunity is there for you. So, yeah, I feel like young teams find a way to win. You got to learn how to win. But in this process, you should know that how to win. If you look at the loss from Jacksonville, it's been self-inflicted wounds.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. It'd be one thing if you just lose them because you don't have what it takes. But these losses have been self-inflicted wounds. Costly red zone turnovers, mistakes, blown coverages. That has hampered them. That's no learning process. It's just not executing.
Hey, Brian, final question for you. Trevor Lawrence, moving forward. What's your thought? People down here are kind of celebrating because Zach Wilson got benched today. So, again, thank you, Frank Gore, for beating the Rams there with the Jets in 2020. But Trevor Lawrence, moving forward these next 7 games, what do you hope you see as he continues to improve?
You got to be smart with the football. Like I talked about, turnovers in the red zone will get you beat. We've seen that quite a few times from Trevor Lawrence. He just has to be smart with the football. And one thing that I'm starting to learn with Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence, we know they drafted you to be the arm of the franchise. But you know what? It's okay riding the legs of Travis Etienne. Mm-hmm. That's okay. Travis Etienne has really taken flight this year in this offense. So my thing is this, man, it's okay in allowing him to do what he's been doing. And now you can make plays off of the run game. But Trevor Lawrence, you got to be smart with the football. When you don't have a smart quarterback making smart plays, you're not going to win ball games.
Former Florida State Seminole Bryant McFadden. He is a Super Bowl winner in the National Football League with Pittsburgh. You can follow him on Twitter at BMAC_SportsTalk, at CBS Sports HQ. Bryant, give yourself a little love for the Jacksonville audience. Where can they find the All Things Covered podcast with you and Patrick Peterson?
You can find us anywhere where podcasts are found. Of course, we have a YouTube channel as well. Find us on YouTube. Just hit All Things Covered, All Things /Covered. I think it is YouTube. But, yeah, just find us anywhere you want to listen to podcasts. We're on every platform. And just give us a shot.
Hey, Bryant, you're the man. Know you're busy this time of year. Really appreciate it, buddy. Have a very happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, thank you for having me. Anytime.
Really enjoy the conversation there with Bryant McFadden. Again, former Florida State Seminole and a Super Bowl winner with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The analogy was kind of harsh, I guess. You see a wounded gator grasping for life in the roadway. What do you say? You go get the monster truck and finish the job?
And run it over.
And that's what he wants Florida State to do to the Gators on Friday night. I don't blame him. Look, he played for Bobby Bowden. He was all about that rivalry with Florida and Florida State in the mid-2000s. If I were a betting man, I'd say that's probably what's more than likely going to happen on Friday. Denmark, have you seen the Gator injury report when it comes to the wide receiver position?
I have.
It's unbelievable. Jaquavion Frazier's is out. Xavier Henderson's out. Marcus Burke is out. And there's like two more guys
Justin
that are
Shorter.
out. Yeah.
Zipper's questionable. Pearsall's questionable. Bowman's out.
Apparently Pearsall, at least an hour ago, it was reported that he's trending towards playing, which is good because every pass Anthony Richardson makes is going to go to him because there's nobody else. I guess what Caleb Douglas, right? It's the other guy. But good grief, man. The Gators are not going to have any wide receivers. Hey, Anthony Richardson, just tell everybody to get out of your way. Just line up and shotgun the entire game and just run. Kind of like I used to do with Michael Vick in Madden Football on PlayStation. I just told everybody else, get out of the way. And I put Vick in the shotgun, and I just ran it every single time. Again, Florida State coming up on Friday night. We will get into the Jacksonville Jaguars in the 9 o'clock hour. The Jaguars and the Ravens. Lamar Jackson for Baltimore did not practice today. I wouldn't read too much into that, but it is interesting on a Wednesday practice. No Lamar Jackson for the Ravens. Of course, the big news for Jacksonville, Darrell Henderson, former running back from the Los Angeles Rams, released, I guess surprisingly, released yesterday, claimed on waivers today from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Of course, the Jaguars traded James Robinson to New York a couple weeks ago. Travis Etienne has been nothing short of a beast since that trade, but every time Etienne comes out of the game, there is a clear drop-off when JaMycal Hasty goes into the game. Now the Jaguars get an opportunity for a 7-game tryout for Darrell Henderson of the Rams. Henderson, 13 career touchdowns last year with the Rams in their Super Bowl year. Carried the ball 149 times for 688 yards and 5 touchdowns. Also had 29 catches out of the backfield for an additional 3 touchdowns last year. I mean, he's rushed for 1,700 yards in shy of 4 seasons in the league, so he's averaging over 400 yards on the ground every year he's been in the NFL. We'll see. He's an unrestricted free agent come January. This is a situation where you give him 7 games, you see what you got, and maybe something can happen afterwards. Maybe he likes being here. Maybe it's a nice combo with he and Travis Etienne. Certainly worth that. I would take that in a heartbeat. So we'll see Darrell Henderson, I would imagine, probably suited up, right? If he gets into town tomorrow, he goes through practice on Thursday, practice on Friday, a walkthrough on Saturday. There might be a handful of plays that Henderson could be involved in on Sunday against the Ravens. We will wait and see. But more on Jacksonville and Baltimore with Leon Searcy, former Jaguar Pro Bowl offensive tackle. That's coming up inside of about a half an hour from now. Coming up next, rivalry week. It's not just Florida State. It's Alabama-Auburn. Tell you one thing. I think Alabama's going to win that game. I'm not breaking any news there. Have you seen Auburn under Cadillac Williams ever since they fired Brian Harsin? They're playing hard for Cadillac Williams, man. I don't think Auburn's going to win the game, and I don't think they're going to retain Cadillac Williams as their coach. But it's a different Auburn team, and it's an Auburn team that I think is going to battle Alabama in the Iron Bowl. You, of course, got clean old-fashioned hate in the state of Georgia with Georgia and Georgia Tech. You got the Apple Cup with Washington and Washington State. I guess we don't call it the Civil War anymore, Denmark, between Oregon and Oregon State. That was not politically correct enough after we've done it for, 50 years. So we had to change that recently. But there's a big game in the state of Oregon. How about that? Between the Ducks and the Beavers. So fantastic week all over the place. I'm certainly looking forward to it. Let's talk about all of it with Mike Huguenin on 3.com. He does a terrific job covering the world of college football, and he is next here on Hacker After Dark. As always, Jacksonville, we are streaming for your viewing pleasure on the 1010XL YouTube channel. You'll see Hacker After Dark there until 10 o'clock tonight. Also at 1010XL on Twitter. You'll see Hacker After Dark streaming live there until 10 o'clock this evening. With Dylan Denmark, the Hacker Ryan Green with you, Mike Huguenin talking college ball. That's next here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
It's been a season of promise.
Christian Kirk made the catch, and Jacksonville has scored again.
And growing pains.
And that is how the game is going to end.
The young Jags showed their progress Sunday at the bank against Baltimore.
Really think about the first 10, but more importantly, I want to think about the next back half of this season.
Everybody believes in what we're doing. Everybody believes where we're heading.
I think if we continue to improve, anything's possible.
That's what great teams do, and we're close, so we just got to start doing more of that.
Jaguars, Ravens.
I believe that our goals are still in front of us.
Sunday at 1 on 1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
Hacker here for my friends at Xfinity. Well, get the speed you need at a great price. It's also the fastest internet on the largest gig speed network. In fact, speaking of gig speed, Xfinity gig speed internet is available to 99% of their footprint. You can also enjoy all your favorite apps. They're all in one place. That's with the Flex 4K streaming box that's free with your Xfinity internet. You can stay connected on the go with over 20 million secure Xfinity Wi-Fi hotspots nationwide. And Xfinity's internet service brings your entire experience together by connecting other services like XFi, Advanced Security, Xfinity Flex, and more. This is based on Xfinity's fastest available download speeds, not available in all areas. Performance may be limited by customer's device configuration. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store today. Jacksonville, do what I did and get hooked up with the good folks of Xfinity.
So I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 5-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $30,000 a year, and right now graduate making over $80,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition and no student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted into the program, your only costs are the books and the course fees, around $700 a year.
Wow, that sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org, and you can apply there.
Here's your 1010XL First Coast Community Calendar.
The 5-star Veteran Center of Jacksonville is the place homeless veterans can go to recover, recharge, retrain, and reconnect. Learn more at 5starveterancenter.org.
If you could benefit from a grief and loss support group, call Haven Hospice at 279-1677.
Her Song is a nonprofit organization that breaks the cycle of human trafficking through survivor care, victim outreach, and education. Find out how you can help at hersong.org.
City Rescue Mission provides life-changing support for the homeless. Find ways to get involved at crmjax.org.
Dreams Come True is a local wish-granting organization giving dreams and special times to local children battling life-threatening illnesses. Find out how you can help at dreamscometrue.org.
If you're involved in a community event and you'd like us to help spread the word, find out how at 1010XL.com.
Injured on the job? It takes one phone call to take back control of your life. Anajar Levine will fight to get you the compensation you deserve. Call me, Glenn Levine, for a free consultation. 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
Main office, Jacksonville.
When Wingstop made a chicken sandwich, you know they couldn't just make just one. Now you can have all 12 sauces and toss favorites, like the OG Hot, with a side of ranch, mango habanero, and my favorite, lemon pepper. This is Leon Searcy, and you're hearing it from me. The Favorites and Chicken Sandwich is back at all your local Wingstop locations. So do like I do. Pick your favorite flavor and try the new chicken sandwich today at Wingstop, where flavor gets its wings.
Hayes Carline here. Claude Nolan Cadillac is growing and hiring right now. How about their service and body shop positions? I'm talking a 5-day work week, and you're not stuck there until 9 p.m. every day. Full benefits, matching 401k, and I know them well. It's a family atmosphere over there. So if you or someone you know is looking for a job in the service department or the body shop, they are hiring right now. Stop in, ask for Eddie, apply in person at Claude Nolan Cadillac. You too can begin your lasting relationship at Claude Nolan Cadillac.
Estate cleanouts, hoarding cleanouts, old appliances, and even tools. There are tons of reasons why you or someone you know may need expert help clearing space. J-Dog Junk Removal will responsibly help you free up space. That means when they leave your place, it looks better. Whether it's you or a loved one that needs one type of clean out at your home, trust the veterans at J-Dog Junk Removal. Veteran owned and operated. Call 844-GET-JDOG or visit jdog.com.
Find your why in your next career move at the First Coast YMCA. Everyone can get involved and make a difference in your community at the Y. And if you'd like to turn your passion into a fulfilling career, the Y is an equal opportunity employer and is now hiring youth program leaders, lifeguards, swim instructors, and more. Plus, Y staff enjoy benefits including free YMCA membership and free childcare while you work. Find your passion, find your why in a career at fcymca.org.
The holidays are a special time of the year, and helping others is a big part of it. This is Joe C., and our Toys for Tots golf tournament at the Golf Club of Southampton is always a great day, with plenty of people making sure the Marines have plenty of toys to put smiles on kids' faces when they need it most. So join us at Southampton Wednesday, December 7th for a primetime Christmas benefiting Toys for Tots. Or if you just want to help, drop off an unwrapped toy at 1010XL or Southampton, and we'll make sure it's under the tree for Christmas.
When it comes to commercial fence services, Superior Fence and Rail has you covered. If your business needs automatic gates or security fence and railings, trust Superior with your next commercial project. Superior's team delivers great communication, high-quality products, and exceptional customer service. Just read any of their 2,300-plus reviews.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. What's better than beer? Cold beer. Put your company logo on a custom koozie. Check them out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
There's nothing like a good fish story.
You're never going to believe me, but it was this big.
On the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show with Captain Kevin Faber.
Thursday nights at 6.
Golly, that's a giant.
On 1010XL AM. This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now,
hello.
Another great guest on the Farah and Farah phone line. Brought to you by the Accident Attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Rivalry week is here throughout the world of college football, and it'll go a long way into determining the 4 college football playoff participants. Mike Huguenin does a terrific job covering the world of college football. He's with On3.com, and he's always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Mike, how we doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, Mike, always appreciate it, man. All right, so it's not college football playoff implications, but a pretty interesting game Friday night going to take place in Tallahassee. Boy, Florida State's a team that feels awfully good about themselves, Mike. After what happened in Nashville last week, I would say Florida probably limping in. You had the Black Friday night game atmosphere. What are your early thoughts going into Tallahassee on Friday night?
Yeah, you mentioned this is rivalry week, and it's a big deal around college football. And the fact that Florida and FSU are playing on Friday, I think, shows how far this rivalry has fallen. Yeah, you're right. Florida, they've lost 5 games. I think you can say that 4 of the losses were sort of, if not necessarily expected, okay, fine, they lost to that team. At least that team is good. Vanderbilt is not good. So Florida has a ton to prove, and I think if Florida State cannot beat this Florida team, that Florida State isn't as far along in its rebuild as people think. Florida's defense is not very good. The offense is extremely inconsistent. The offensive game plan last week, frankly, I was mystified by it. I know that Vanderbilt's pass defense is horrendous. Anthony Richardson threw for 400, but, you know, Florida prides itself on its physicality and its rushing attack, so why not run the ball? I did not understand that, and FSU has really good defensive stats. They have really good offensive stats, especially on the ground. And that aspect, the FSU rushing attack, probably truly worries the Florida defensive coaching staff.
Mike Huguenin on 3.com. All right, let's look at this from both sides. We'll begin with the Seminoles. Boy, 8-3. Who would have thought 8-3 when the season started back in late August? Kudos to Mike Norvell for the job he's done. Yet I get the sense, Mike, coming into this game, there is a fair amount of pressure on Norvell to beat Florida because, like you said, everybody is well aware this is a down Florida team. And if Billy Napier is who Gator fans believe he is, this is going to be Florida's worst team for a while. So does that add to the expectation for the Noles on Friday night?
Yeah, unquestionably. Again, if Florida State can't beat this Florida team, that's not a good sign for Florida State because this is not a good Florida team. FSU comes in having won 4 in a row. You know, were any teams in that stretch world beaters? No. But the difference this year has been that Florida State has not only beaten teams it should beat, it's physically overmatched them, and that's a good sign. The running game is cranking big time. I mean, 200 yards rushing in 6 consecutive games, a very deep backfield. Jordan Travis has become a solid passer, not anything close to being elite, but he's made strides as a passer. And again, the defensive stats are quite good. I'm not sure the defense is as good as the stats say it is, but it's still, Adam Fuller deserves credit because it's, you know, Jared Verse has been the difference maker at edge that they expected, and he's missed a while because of injuries. Tatum Bethune, the linebacker transfer they brought in from UCF, has been a gigantic addition. The secondary's playing really well. But yeah, this Florida State team is playing extremely well at the end of the season, and there's a reason they're 8.5-point favorites.
Mike, I'm inclined to believe Florida State, obviously the favorite going in with good reason. I would think Florida State should win this game. If they do, and if they win it rather convincingly, look, I don't think it's going to be 45-3 like it was against Miami, but let's say Florida State wins this game by, 2 touchdowns plus. But what does that say about the state of college football? Is Florida State simply that much farther ahead than Florida and Miami? Is it a case where Florida and Miami just had a bad year? How would you assess that if the Noles win pretty easily on Friday night?
Yeah, I think if you're Florida State and you beat Florida by two touchdowns plus, or 20 points plus, yeah, you are a long way ahead of both Florida and Miami. I think Florida is in better shape than Miami, but this Miami recruiting class is going to be good, and we'll see what happens next year on the field. Obviously, that Napier's recruiting well. Also, I think the Florida issue, the Miami issue this year is that they're bad on both sides of the ball. Florida's biggest issue is it's bad on defense, but it's offensive inconsistency, and that's one thing FSU seems to have developed. Here's what we are offensively: we're a run-first team that can throw the ball, but we do not want to have to throw the ball, and that's a sign of a pretty good team that they're able to do what they want. They are farther along. It is also Mike Norvell's 4th season compared to the first for Napier and Cristobal. FSU should be further along. And that's why I think that if FSU were to lose this game, that's a gigantic negative toward Norvell.
Mike Huguenin on 3.com here with us on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Mike, final thought about Florida State before we flip sides and go to the Gators. Jordan Travis, to me, is a phenomenal story. From a guy who couldn't functionally throw a pass downfield, say 3, even 2.5 years ago, to maybe the best quarterback in the ACC. I mean, my gracious, what a transformation.
I think Drake May and Sam Hartman are better. But there's no question but that Jordan Travis, he went from he's a guy playing quarterback to a quarterback who's making plays when he needs to. And again, his legs have always been a big part of his game. They still are, though they're relying a lot less on those legs because they have a really nice running back group. Trey Benson has been, I think, better than even FSU expected. He's bounced back nicely from the knee injury he had at Oregon. But Travis's development as a passer, again, you're right, he went from being a guy that teams wanted to see him throw the ball, opposing teams, because they knew bad things were likely to happen 40% of the time. Now he is a competent passer. The receiving core still isn't quite what it should be if you're Florida State, but it has gotten better thanks to some transfers. And Jordan Travis, he has played consistent football, and that's a gigantic plus as well, because the last couple of seasons, or heck, for the last 5 seasons, FSU has not had consistent quarterback play, and now they do, and that's one reason they're 8-3.
All right, Mike, let's go to the Florida Gators. Now, they enter at 6-5. We mentioned the loss to Vanderbilt. I think all the goodwill that Florida had built up with the wins over A&M and South Carolina was completely crushed and destroyed up there in 35-degree weather in Nashville. Before we break down Friday night's game, just a thought on Anthony Richardson. It takes a lot to make me speechless. I'm sure you know. You've known me for quite some time. Yeah. When I see a Hail Mary land in row G of the stands that ends the ball game, I could not believe that. The odds of Florida scoring on the last play of the game were probably slim, but I've never seen that awful of a Hail Mary throw in my life. And it's a head-scratching thing by Anthony Richardson, and when you think about this entire season, Mike, he's had a lot of those instances.
Yeah, the inconsistency. The only thing he has shown he is consistent in being is inconsistent. The lack of running from Richardson on Saturday was that hurts Florida big time. He made some really nice throws on Saturday. You have to make nice throws to throw for 400, but he also made some hideous throws. And, yeah, none more than the last play of the game. And you're right. It's the idea that they were going to hit on that was the odds were infinitesimal, but give your guys a chance to make a play, and he didn't do that. I don't think he was helped by the game plan either. But the inconsistency of Richardson has led to a very inconsistent offense. They threw the ball more than they ran it. And that's fine in the Spurrier days, that when they had a legitimate quarterback who was a stud and they had great receivers. The idea that they threw the ball more than they ran it against Vanderbilt is mind-blowing. You would think they could line up Montrell Johnson and Travis Etienne with 10 or so runs sprinkled in from Richardson, and they run for 225 or 250, and they beat Vanderbilt. But they came out throwing, and they never stopped, did not understand it, especially with a quarterback who has not shown that he can be a consistent passer. And that's, again, like you said, head-scratching. And this whole season, and generally when Florida loses, and even a couple games they've won, the head-scratching aspect all comes from the offense. If you're surprised by the bad defense, you haven't been watching Florida. This is not a good defense for a variety of reasons, most notably a lack of talent. But the offense has some big-time offensive linemen. They got some nice running backs, and they got a quarterback who can run, and they threw the ball more than they ran it against Vanderbilt.
It was bad. There's no question about that. Mike Huguenin on3.com. All right, I asked you the same question about Mike Norvell and Florida State, how important it is for them on Friday night. Clearly, Billy Napier has an out. It's year number 1. Having said that, though, Mike, and you and I have talked about this, the fans still like him for the most part. They like the direction. They like the recruiting. But if you lose, and you already have lost to Tennessee, LSU, and Georgia, if you add a Florida State loss in there as well, that might leave a sour taste in the mouths of Gator Nation, basically losing to every rival that you have.
Yeah, you're right. The only saving grace is, okay, it's year 1. But you point, they lost to Tennessee, LSU, Georgia, and Vanderbilt. That's the Vandy loss is the one that I think that's going to stick the longest, and frankly it should, unless they get blown out by FSU. I don't think they're going to get blown out, but I do think they're going to lose. I think the manner in which they play is important. You want to see a team that's fired up and running around hitting people and making some big plays on offense. Florida has the ability to make big plays on offense. They've made them, frankly, in every single game, even in games they've lost. So, but again, it goes back to, they dominated South Carolina. South Carolina turns around and blows the doors off Tennessee. Florida was throwing into the end zone with a chance to beat Tennessee. They cut the margin to a 1-score game against Georgia. and then they lay the gigantic egg in Nashville. So they need to play well on Friday. You know, a narrow loss is one thing, but you're right. A 38-17 kind of loss, I think, is going to lead to a few more people saying, "What's going on here? The talent isn't this bad, is it?" I think the talent is bad, but there's enough talent on offense for them to have a pretty good showing, I think, on Friday. But you're right. I think the margin of victory is a key here to get fans feeling good going into the off season. Obviously, the portal and the recruiting is key. The recruiting class looks like it's going to be a very good one, though not elite. But I'm not sure if you expected an elite class. I think you were sort of being a little bit naive. But the portal work he needs to do is gigantic, and maybe there's a staff change or two as well.
You know, and speaking of that, as we begin to wrap up with Mike Hugan in from On3.com, we've already seen it, right? I think the number 6 already between guys that have been dismissed from the team or entered the transfer portal. You get the feeling after Friday's game that number is going to intensify. Maybe guys that they don't want to return, guys that want greener pastures elsewhere. And you would have to think if Anthony Richardson goes pro, and I don't know why you would think he wouldn't if he's a projected first-round pick, Mike, the starting quarterback for the Gators in 2023 is probably on somebody else's roster.
Right
now.
Exactly.
So it's going to be a fascinating offseason.
Yeah, I think that if Richardson doesn't come back, they're going to have to go into the portal to get a starter, because you don't want to start Rashad as a true freshman. Plus, how good is this kid? We're going to find out, but you don't want to start a true freshman in the SEC. I don't think Jack Miller is an SEC caliber quarterback. I don't think Jalen Kitten is an SEC caliber quarterback. I don't think Max Brown, the kid they signed last year, is an SEC caliber quarterback. So my assumption is that, like a lot of teams, they're going to be going heavy into the portal. The NIL aspect has become extremely important in recruiting, and especially in terms of portal recruiting. They could use a veteran defensive tackle, not a star, just a guy who can play 30 plays a game. You wonder if they're going to go out and try to get a portal tight end or a portal linebacker, but I think a quarterback, if Richardson leaves, and a defensive tackle are absolute musts in the portal.
All right, Mike, leave us with this. The big game of the weekend nationally, certainly Michigan and Ohio State. Does it matter, I guess, who wins? And that's a stupid question, I know, but if you assume that both are in the top 4, if it's a competitive game, would there be an argument? Maybe that's a better way to phrase it. Would there be an argument for even the losing team to still make it into the college football playoff?
Yeah, but I think, again, it goes back to, like you said, assuming it's a close game, a one-possession game, I think TCU is in if they win out. I think USC has gained a ton of momentum, at least in the media and coaches poll. That'll be interesting to see Tuesday night if the playoff committee agrees with the two media polls. But I think the Michigan-Ohio State loser has, especially with Tennessee out of the mix now, I think the Michigan-Ohio State loser is in relatively good shape, assuming it's a close game and assuming that USC doesn't absolutely blow out Notre Dame and whoever they play in the Pac-12 title game. The positives for USC, obviously they beat UCLA, a top 20 team. Notre Dame's going to be in the top 20, and their opponent in the Pac-12 title game is going to be in the top 20. So you're going to be ending the season, the recency bias aspect, you're going to have beaten 3 top 20 teams in a row. And, oh, by the way, you got maybe the best player in the country. You have a super offense. Defensively, USC has a super offense, but it's the kind of team that Riley's always coached. So I think USC is the one school out there, assuming TCU wins out, USC is the one team out there that could mess things up for the Ohio State-Michigan loser.
And leave us with this, Mike, 30 seconds. If TCU wins out, that's the only way this would happen, I think. But TCU wins out, they're in. The winner of Michigan-Ohio State, they're in. That's 2 spots. If LSU beats Georgia, do they both go? Or
I think so.
You do think so?
Both,
okay.
Yeah, I think LSU and Georgia both would go in that instance. But I'll be honest, I've seen LSU play, and I've seen Georgia play. I cannot foresee LSU scoring enough points to beat Georgia. I think that it's been a great season for Brian Kelly and LSU, but I can't see them beating the Dogs.
I could do this for hours. Mike Huguenin is one of my favorites to talk college football with. You can see his terrific work at on3.com. Mike, as always, thank you for the time. You and your family have a great Thanksgiving, and we'll talk again soon.
Same to you, man. Appreciate being on. Thanks.
He's Johnny O, and always in the know.
I know, right?
And when it comes to the Jags, he knows a lot. Oh, knows. Wednesdays from 10 to noon on Jaguars Today. Brought to you by Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Why live with foot or ankle pain? If you have persistent pain, numbness, tingling, burning pain on the bottom of your foot, or swelling that doesn't improve with home treatment, it may be time to see Jacksonville Orthopedic Institute. Our foot and ankle specialists have innovative new options to help you get back in the swing of things without persistent pain that slows you down. Call JOI 2000 or go to joionline.net for an appointment.
If you're considering replacing your windows, consider replacing them with Kohler Homes. The culture here hasn't changed. It's about honesty, integrity, and fair pricing. We don't offer 2-for-1 financing specials that come with free giveaways. You're overpaying for your project this way. We have financing programs available that have your best interest in mind without feeling it in your wallet. With access to all the Florida-approved manufacturers, it's your choice, not ours. So don't fall in love with the window. Fall in love with the company replacing them, Kohler Homes. Give us a call to learn more and schedule your free consultation.
Need cash for the holidays or to pay off credit cards right now? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. Prosser here. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low rate. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days, and a $50,000 loan will only cost you around $300 a month. Use that money to pay off high-interest credit cards or consolidate other debt or even start a home improvement project. With Loan Pronto, you can access up to 95% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need an appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Do it now before the holidays. Call Loan Pronto at 904-999-1508. 904-999-1508. You could use that extra cash for the holidays, and you can get it with Loan Pronto. Also visit loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
WJXL FM, Jacksonville Beach.
Your time is valuable. Say goodbye to tire shops and waiting rooms. Go Mobile Tires is a mobile tire business that comes to where you live, work, or play. We match anyone's price on tires, and our trained technicians mount and balance tires, program TPMS sensors, and repair tires. We provide nitrogen for free. Check us out on the web at gomotires.com or call us at 904-907-0999. On the web at gomotires.com or 904-907-0999.
Guys, this is Movember. The urologists with McKeever Clinic urge you to take action to live healthier, happier, and longer lives. Take the time to stay connected to your friends and have open conversations about men's health. Know the numbers. At 50, talk to your doctor about prostate cancer. If it runs in the family, do it at 45. Be inspired to grow out your mustache this Movember to raise awareness for men's health. McKeever Clinic, innovators in urological care since 1921. McKeeverClinic.com.
Perfect Rack Billiards in Murray Hill is your spot to be for all your football needs. Full liquor bar, 8 pool tables, darts, and shuffleboard. Weekly specials every day of the week from 60-cent wings to seltzer Saturdays, along with wing and pitcher specials on Sunday, and tons of great draft choices daily. There isn't a better place to play pool, have a beer, and just kick back. Half-price apps from 9 to close weekdays. Perfect Rack Billiards on Edgewood and Murray Hill. The best place in Jacks to watch sports.
Denny Thompson here. Tyson Sound & Security is hiring salespeople right now. If you want to sell new tech security cameras or home automation, Tyson Sound & Security is looking for you. Tyson Sound & Security is hiring for sales positions, and they will train you to be successful. Apply online at TysonSoundAndSecurity.com or call 762-1000. That's 762-1000. Hiring for sales positions right now. Apply online at TysonSoundAndSecurity.com or call 762-1000. Equal opportunity employer.
Share stories over a big bowl of cereal with Big Bo. Breakfast with Baselli. Brought to you by Epstein & Robbins DUI Defense Firm and Fifth Element Adjusting. Breakfast provided by Chick-fil-A. Monday morning on 1010XL. This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL.
And again, thank you to Mike Hugan and On3.com for joining us here on a Wednesday night edition of Hacker After Dark. Rivalry week, of course, Florida State. You'll hear that game on 1010XL, 92.5 FM Friday night. And then coming up on Sunday afternoon, the Jaguars back on the field taking on the Baltimore Ravens. A couple of Jaguar pieces of news. They started the activation process for K'Lavon Chaisson, which might be just a season saver right there, getting K'Lavon Chaisson back in the fold. But nevertheless, he's a body to throw out there. He's been on injured reserve. We'll see what happens there, but he is available to come back now, or at least eligible to come back. And they picked up Darrell Henderson off of waivers, the running back that was released by the Los Angeles Rams. Look, the guy had 700 yards rushing for the Rams last year that won the Super Bowl. He had 8 touchdowns, 5 on the ground, 3 receiving out of the backfield for a team that won the Super Bowl last year. Remember, he filled in for Cam Akers a majority of the season when Akers was out with the Achilles. So the fact they outright released him is interesting. It's it's one of those situations where it doesn't really cost Jacksonville anything. You bring Henderson in, you got him for 7 games. He's scheduled to become an unrestricted free agent. You see what he's got, and that'll determine if you want to try to re-sign him in the offseason. So it's certainly a low-risk, high-reward situation there. And I would have to think you want to get him active this week. Again, only 7 games to go. You want to get a pretty good sample size to see how he and ETN work. So hopefully you can get him up to speed tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday, enough so that he at least might have a handful of plays on Sunday when Baltimore comes in here. Baltimore does come in. Lamar Jackson did not practice today for the Ravens. We'll monitor that as the week goes on. I also thought it was interesting, Calais Campbell makes his return to Jacksonville. Talking to the Baltimore media today, he said the Ravens' defensive coaches are describing Travis Etienne as Alvin Kamara, but faster. Think about that, Jaguar fans. You have an opposing defensive staff in Baltimore telling their players that Travis Etienne is essentially Alvin Kamara, but faster. I like that. I like that a lot. Travis Etienne certainly starting to get some attention from some defensive staffs around the National Football League. Leon Searcy, former Jaguar Pro Bowl offensive tackle. We'll talk Jaguars and Ravens with Leon coming up in less than 5 minutes. Also at the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour, we'll head to Tallahassee. Ira Schofel, warchant.com, as that'll wrap up our Florida State preview for the week. A Wednesday night on Hacker After Dark with Dylan Denmark. The Hacker Ryan Green with you. Jacksonville, we're glad you're with us. Leon Searcy next here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Learn what it takes to make a great signal call.
Give me clear green right, 97 Buster.
And hear stories from a quarterback whisperer, Denny Thompson.
Who made that call?
Friday mornings on The Drill. Brought to you by Tyson Sound and Security. Security and automation experts on 1010XL.
If you're like most people, you're not even thinking about replacing a water heater until your existing one fails. Of course, that always happens at the worst possible time. If you'd like to avoid an emergency, give Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing and Septic Services a call. We have different options and brands available and can get your appointment scheduled today.
When you're stuck, call the Duck. 904-862-6769.
Look around you. There's history being made. Has been. Will be. Just something about those blue skies, high banks and high speed, all coming together in one perfect race. And it'll be here sooner than you think. The Daytona 500 at Daytona International Speedway, February 19th, 2023. Get your tickets now at DayTona500.com.
Hello, Jacksonville. This is Greg McGarity, President and CEO of Gator Bowl Sports. The Tax Slayer Gator Bowl game and events have been a Jacksonville staple for more than 75 years. We support more than 4,200 local youth annually through Gator Bowl charities. Gator Bowl Sports is a perfect way for local companies and individuals to get involved. We'd love to meet with you and talk about how you can join our team. If you'd like to learn more, contact us at 798-1700. 798-1700. Atlantic Self-Storage, the official storage partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Need to make room to watch football in your home or need a place to park your boat or RV? Store it all at Atlantic Self-Storage. Over 50 locations in Northeast Florida. 24-hour access, all with month-to-month leases. Moving, they can help with supplies. They make storage easy. Go to AtlanticSelfStorage.com or call 877-WE-STORE to find a storage solution near you. Go Jags!
This is Hayes Carlyon for Kingfish Pest Control, a local family-owned business that specializes in pest, termites, mosquito, and rodent prevention. I tell you what, when I got my new home, I had to put on my reporter's hat, find out who really is the best, and it turns out there's no competition. Kingfish provides exceptional service and treats me like a valued customer, not just an account. That's why I wholeheartedly recommend Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Does your home or building need painting? For over 20 years, Performance Painting has had the privilege of preserving many of Jacksonville's most prominent buildings. That said, we feel like we're just getting started. I'm Jason Parker, and our team thrives on preparing, protecting, and preserving the homes, businesses, and public buildings that make up our local landscape. Contact us today to put our years of experience to work for you. Performance Painting. Prepare, protect, preserve.
Performance Painting! Jeff Prosser here. Do you have a damaged roof on your home? I did too, so I had Ken Lawler and his team help me get my roof replaced through my property insurance. Ken, tell us how it works.
Jeff, our team walks you through the process and eliminates the confusion that comes with filing an insurance claim and getting it properly settled. It's all free if we don't recover money for your claim. If you have a damaged roof, call Fifth Element Adjusting or visit FEAClaims.com. If you're happy with the outcome of your claim, Fifth Element Adjusting will not be able to help you. Ken Lawler, DFS number P213199.
Estate cleanouts, hoarding cleanouts, old appliances, and even tools. There are tons of reasons why you or someone you know may need expert help clearing space. J-Dog Junk Removal will responsibly help you free up space. That means when they leave your place, it looks better. Whether it's you or a loved one that needs one type of cleanout at your home, trust the veterans at J-Dog Junk Removal. Veteran-owned and operated. Call 844-GET-JDOG or visit jdog.com.
Find your why in a rewarding career at the First Coast YMCA. Did you know the Y runs the before and after school programs at every public elementary school in Clay County? It's true, and we can only open up new spots for students when we have enough staff. And that means the Y needs you. The Y is an equal opportunity employer, and we're hiring youth program leaders, lifeguards, instructors, and much more. Visit your local Y for more information. Find your passion, find your why, and a career at fcymca.org.
The holidays are a special time of the year, and helping others is a big part of it. This is Joe C., and our Toys for Tots golf tournament at the Golf Club of Southampton is always a great day, with plenty of people making sure the Marines have plenty of toys to put smiles on kids' faces when they need it most. So join us at Southampton Wednesday, December 7th for a primetime Christmas benefiting Toys for Tots. Or if you just want to help, drop off an unwrapped toy at 1010XL or Southampton, and we'll make sure it's under the tree for Christmas.
Rich in history and bouncing back into relevance.
It's what you do on the field that counts.
Listen for the Performance Painting Hurricane Report on 1010XL. Performance Painting. Prepare, protect, preserve. This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. It's Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now, another interview on the Farah and Farah phone line, brought to you by the accident attorneys at Farah and Farah.
And back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville, we are glad you are with us. The Ravens and the Jaguars, Sunday, 1 o'clock. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. The Jaguars coming back off the bye week, and they get Lamar Jackson, Calais Campbell, and the Baltimore Ravens. Let's talk to a former Jaguar and I guess a former Raven, right? At least a cup of coffee in Baltimore. My friend Leon Searcy, always kind enough to join us here on Hacker After Dark. Leon, how we doing?
I'm doing great, bro. How you doing?
Leon, we're good, man. All right, bye week in the rearview mirror after a week off. Leon, what do you hope to see from this team on Sunday at 1 o'clock?
Well, I just like to see better execution on both sides of the ball. That game against the Kansas City Chiefs exposed us a little bit, especially defensively. I mean, it was a lot of times out there we seemed like we didn't know what we were doing. I don't know if that was the game plan of KC or the lack of preparation by us. But you left a lot of holes in the zone coverages that we played against KC. And offensively, I think we played pretty well, excluding the penalties, illegal man downfield that cost us a touchdown. I think for the most part, if you look at it, I mean, we had 3 turnovers from the Kansas City Chiefs, with us only amounted to 7 points. You've got to be able to maximize your effort against a team like the Chiefs when you get those kinds of turnovers, and then they got to turn into 7 points. But I just want to see execution. I want to see some tenacity. I want to see some nastiness. I want to see a run. We're 3-7. Listen, if those guys over there aren't talking about making a run these next 7 games, and let's see what happens, then I think you've got the wrong administration, the wrong coaching staff, and the wrong players on your team.
Leon, you guys were 4-7 in 1996 when you went on that magical run. It only needs 1 game, right? I'm not proclaiming the Jaguars are going to do what you guys did 26 years ago, but they have 7 games remaining. There's a lot of football left to be played, and playoffs or not, you would like to see some success, and it begins with 1 game. If they can find a way to get it done against a very good Baltimore team, that could propel Jacksonville into a very good second half of the year.
Well, Hank, it does sound kind of cliche when you say take it 1 game at a time, but that's all it is. You just want to get that 1 game underneath you want to get that notch in your belt. You get that 1 game, and then you say, okay, we've won that 1 game. Let's go win another. Then another. That's what happened to us in 96. We were 4-7. We were like, listen, we got 5 games left. We were 4-7. We could have easily have been 7-4 or 8-3. We had lost a lot of close games, and we said, we know we're good. We know we're good on offense. We know we were making strides defensively, and let's just see what happens. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is we win a couple of games. We feel good about ourselves, going into the off season. But we end up winning 5 games and went into the playoffs, and then everybody knows the rest is history. Those immaculate runs against Buffalo and Denver. Next thing you know, in the AFC Championship game. Now, I'm not saying that the Jaguars can do that, but at this point, you're 3-7. You could be 6-4, 7-3. I just say the hell with it. Let's punch a few people in the mouth and see. At the end of the fourth quarter, let's just see if we got more points than the other team.
Former Jacksonville Jaguar Pro Bowl offensive tackle Leon Searcy here with us on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL in Jacksonville. Leon, I think we were reminded today how fortunate the Jaguars are to have Trevor Lawrence as Zach Wilson, the number 2 pick in the 2021 draft, gets benched up in New York. Trevor Lawrence, 13 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, completing 65% of his passes 10 games into the year. What are your expectations for him over the next 7 games?
Well, listen, going into the season, I said to myself, Trevor Lawrence last year had 12 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. And what I was hoping for is that he doubled his touchdowns this season and he cut his interceptions in half. Right now, I mean, he could be on pace for that. I mean, if he gives me 24-8 for the rest of the season, I'll be happy. Gives me, I don't know, 3,500, 4,000 yards. What's more important to me than the actual stats is, his evolution, his involvement as a quarterback. I want to see him evolve as a quarterback, consistently getting better week in and week out. Yeah, now that's got to amount to scores and no turnovers. But I just want to see him. I want to feel good after 7 weeks of football going into the offseason and say, you know what? we got our quarterback. We did the right thing by drafting Trevor Lawrence. If he gives me a feel good about it, once the season is over, which means I can go into next season knowing that we're stabilized at the quarterback position.
10 games in, Leon, I think we're going to see a lot about Travon Walker, Devin Lloyd, Luke Fortner, that rookie wall. I think Devin Lloyd might have already hit the rookie wall. I think we're going to see a lot of Chad Muma moving forward. How much of a grind will it be for these youngsters coming in after a 10-game season, a bye week? They're probably fresh now, but back into it. Is that rookie wall a real thing?
It is, but you got to get over it. They pay you handsomely to get over that rookie wall. I don't want to hear anything about no damn rookie wall. You got to get it going. I mean, whatever you got to do to reboot yourself. I mean, yeah, listen, I had to deal with it as well. I mean, I was only used to playing 11 games in the bowl games. That's 12 games a season when I was in college in Miami. But, I had to deal with the fact that, 16 games, then the playoff run. So your team is going to need you. I mean, not only is it physically draining, but it's psychologically and mentally draining on you, as a player having to deal with all that. But get over yourself. This ain't about you. This is bigger than you. This is about the team. This is about momentum going into December and going into January. So, I mean, if you care anything about football, you'll push your feelings aside, your emotions and feelings aside, and get to the business of trying to win some football games.
A couple of more for former Jaguar Pro Bowl offensive tackle Leon Searcy. Leon, aside from Trevor Lawrence, when you talk about individual players, whether it's offense or defense, who are you most excited to see over the next 7 games outside of Trevor Lawrence?
Well, if you want to talk about young players, most excited to see is Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne has been phenomenal over the last couple of games. I mean, I believe he's in the top 5 or top 8 as far as rushing or probably an all-purpose yards, probably top 5. I want to see him continue to be explosive. And what's going to be even more impressive about it is the fact that these games moving forward, a lot of these teams that he's going to be playing are teams that are going to be jockeying for playoff positions. I mean, the Titans, the Cowboys, the Ravens, the Jets, the Detroit Lions are going to be a formidable task. So, I want to see him consistently still play and run the ball effectively, catch the ball out the backfield, pick up on those zone blitzes that teams are going to run at you. So, I mean, I want to continue to see him evolve as a running back. You got to remember, this is essentially his rookie year, to be quite honest with you, with the fact that he was hurt last year. So, I mean, he's learning on the fly, and so far I've been impressed by him. Now he's got to sink those hips a little bit more when them linebackers be coming on those blitzes because, I've seen them get dogged a couple of times. So, remember, if I see him getting dogged on film, the other defensive coaching staff is going to watch it. So he's going to have to sink those hips and really explode in the players. Hey, listen, I'll tell you what he needs to do. Go get some film on Maurice Jones-Drew and how he used to pick up blitzes. Huh? I mean, that bowling ball used to knock those pins down. So he's just got to sink those hips a little bit more on those blitz plays. But he's the most excited guy I want to see moving forward and see how he progresses.
Leon, final moments here with you, the coaching staff. Obviously, it's all about the next 7 games. But in the back of Doug Peterson's mind, has evaluation already begun for the 2023 season over these next 7 games, whether free agents to be, things along those lines?
I hope not. I sincerely hope not. If Doug Peterson isn't preparing for the 7, if Doug Peterson is not preparing these guys for a 6 to 7 game run to compete at the highest level to win these games, then Doug Peterson needs to be stripped of his duties as coach. He needs to be telling these guys, listen, we're 3-7. We've got 7 games left. Let's see if we can run the table. Let's see if we can win 5 out of 7, 6 out of 7, 7 out of 7, and give ourselves an opportunity to see if we can go to the dance. And I'm pretty sure Doug is doing that. He knows the talent that he has on both sides of the ball. He knows that he's lost a couple close ones. He knows his team could easily be 6-4 right now, or 7-3, or hell, even 5-5. And 5-5, we're in the hunt at 5-5. So I believe that Doug is preparing these guys to go to battle, to do battle with the Baltimore Ravens, and whoever comes next. So that's just his pedigree. He's been a Super Bowl champion. He's been in situations, I'm sure, where it looks abysmal and no one's giving you a shot. So I'm pretty sure Doug Peterson is preparing these guys to do battle over these next 7 weeks.
Hey, Leon, final question for you. Baltimore comes in on Sunday. That's a tall order, man. Lamar Jackson, you know how good he is. That is a tough, physical team on both sides of the ball. What's your expectation for Sunday afternoon?
19-13 Jags.
You think Jacksonville wins the game? Do you really?
Why not?
Wow. You're right. Look, I mean, I don't think it's the craziest thing, but, boy, I think back to that Giants game, Leon. They couldn't stop the RPO with Daniel Jones. What Lamar Jackson might do to them if they haven't cleaned that up by now could be a pretty scary situation.
I agree.
Well, we'll certainly see what happens. Baltimore and Jacksonville on Sunday, regardless of what happens. Leon Searcy, myself, and head coach Dave Campo will have the fifth quarter for you live at Perfect Rack Billiards out in Murray Hill. Leon, always appreciate it, man. Have a terrific Thanksgiving to you and your family, and we'll talk Sunday on the fifth quarter.
All right, bro. See you there.
All right, here we go.
Former Jaguars QB David Garrard joins Jaguars Today to talk Jags.
Let's go, Googans. Let's go, Googans.
Mondays on 1010XL.
Man, I can't sing.
Brought to you by Napa Auto Care.
They say a good craftsman never blames their tools, and the best always choose the right one for the job. For the builders and makers of this world, nothing beats knowing you've got what you need to get the project done. Northern Tool is a problem solver's paradise. Hurry in now to catch our Black Friday deals, where we have the perfect gift for every solver in your life, from names like Honda, Milwaukee, and Lincoln Electric. We're made for this. Come see us in store or shop online at northerntool.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
I want my Woody's barbecue.
It's National Barbecue Year, and everyone I know loves the way Woody's Barbecue has cooked it, low and slow. Yeah, for over 41 years, Woody's has been serving it up in our dining rooms or preparing it for you to take home. Hi, flying Jacko here, and I love National Barbecue Year, and I love Woody's.
This is Woody Mills inviting you to Woody's Barbecue today. Come see us.
At Woody's Barbecue, it's what we do.
Let's eat.
We want people to feel that when they call Harrell & Harrell, they're calling Harrell & Harrell. They're not calling a satellite office or call center or getting an automated phone system. We are with our clients, fighting for our clients, handling the process ourselves, and not asking others to do that for us. I mean, we feel like we made the right decision to be the size that we are, large enough to take on anyone, but small enough to care and really know our clients. Offices, Jacksonville.
Need cash for the holidays or to pay off credit cards right now? Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Line of Credit program is just what you need. Prosser here. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low rate. With Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit Line, you can close in 7 to 10 days, and a $50,000 loan will only cost you around $300 a month. Use that money to pay off high-interest credit cards or consolidate other debt or even start a home improvement project. With Loan Pronto, you can access up to 95% of your home's equity, and 9 out of 10 homeowners won't even need an appraisal. Even if you did a total refi recently or just bought your home, you can tap the equity with this fast, easy program. Do it now before the holidays. Call Loan Pronto at 904-999-1508. 904-999-1508. You could use that extra cash for the holidays, and you can get it with Loan Pronto. Also visit loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
Josh Scobie here to tell you about Eastern Roofing Company. Are you in the process of selling your home and are being required by home inspectors or an insurance company to replace your roof? The team at Eastern Roofing is here to get the job done. They can get your roof done fast with no money paid until the sale of your home. Don't miss out on a sale because of your problems with your roof. Call Eastern Roofing today at 775-ROOF or visit easternroofing.com. Eastern Roofing Company. Service with integrity.
The holidays provide a good reminder to ensure your vehicle is well maintained for safe and reliable travels. So in the spirit of giving, Famous Automotive and Tire is offering a buy 3, get 1 free promotion on all size tires and brands. All new tire sizes and brands, buy 3, get 1 free. This holiday sale also applies to all shocks and struts. Visit the shop for details and get your vehicle holiday ready at Famous Automotive and Tire. 7 locations servicing every customer like they're famous.
It's Thanksgiving week and Monahan Jewelers has the best deals in town with up to 40% off the entire store. Thousands of beautiful pieces are all on sale with fantastic prices on our entire inventory, including up to 30% off on GIA certified diamonds. We're your local family jeweler, so come visit us today and on Small Business Saturday for up to 40% off on diamond studs, engagement rings, colored gemstones, our designer brands, custom design, everything. There is so much jewelry at up to 40% off. The name you can trust in fine jewelry, Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach.
Guys, this is Movember. The urologists with McKeever Clinic urge you to take action to live healthier, happier, and longer lives. Take the time to stay connected to your friends and have open conversations about men's health. Know the numbers. At 50, talk to your doctor about prostate cancer. If it runs in the family, do it at 45. Be inspired to grow out your mustache this Movember to raise awareness for men's health. McKeever Clinic, innovators in urological care since 1921. McKeeverClinic.com.
No time?
No problem.
Listen to 1010XL talk shows on demand.
This you're not going to believe.
As soon as the live show ends.
You're kidding.
Go to 1010XL.com at your convenience. Brought to you by the law offices of Charles Fletcher. Lawyer Up 904. This 1010XL 92.5 FM hour is powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Hacker After Dark on 1010XL. Now, another interview on the Farah and Farah phone line. Brought to you by the accident attorneys at Farah and Farah.
Back here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. It is a Wednesday evening. We're glad you're with us. Florida and Florida State. Friday night, Doak Campbell Stadium. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL. Let's head to the state capital of Tallahassee, Florida. Let's get the Florida State perspective on this matchup Friday night with our man Ira Schofel, warchant.com. Always kind enough to join us here on 1010XL. Ira, how we doing?
Great. How you doing, Ryan?
Ira, we're good, man. Thank you for the time. And it's been about a month since you and I chatted, and what a month for Florida State football. Coming off that bye week, just dominating performances over Georgia Tech, just bludgeoning Miami, and then the victory over Syracuse and Louisiana. I imagine things are great right now in Tallahassee.
Yeah, it's no doubt about it. It's been such a weird season because, the first 4 games, they start off undefeated, got the win over LSU, win at Louisville with their backup quarterback playing in the second half, and, really riding high. And then you have the 3-game losing streak against 3 ranked teams. And you start wondering, okay, well, this season at one point looked like it could be a 9 or 10 win season. Well, now it may not be, maybe they'll be 500. And then they completely turned it around again, and they've won these last 4. So it's just been a weird season. It's almost been like 2 or 3 separate seasons kind of following each other within this one season. But, yeah, right now everybody's on top of the world.
Ira, you know this. You're one of the guys over there. You've covered Florida State for a long time, so I'm interested in your perspective. I mean, do you get the sense that this is going to turn into a Jimbo Fisher-esque situation? I mean, what Norvell's doing in the portal, what he's doing in recruiting. They're winning the games they're supposed to. They were competitive in the games even they lost, and things are more up for Florida State now probably than they've been in the last, 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, I think they've definitely turned the corner. The concern I think even, FSU fans have right now is whether or not they can make the kind of run you're talking about where they become a national power right now because, they still haven't quite recruited at that level. Mike Norvell, I think, has done a great job of using the pieces he has and using them to the best of their ability and getting the guys to work together and play hard and all those great things. But he hasn't gone out and signed a ton of elite prospects. He got a couple in the last class, and then right now he's got a 5-star receiver committed, Hakeem Williams, and he just got a 4-star quarterback to commit. So they're getting some of those pieces, but I think that's the only reason you'd say it's hard to predict that they're going to become a dominant team nationally is because you just don't know. Jimbo, in his first 2 or 3 years, he really stockpiled some amazing talent, and then those guys went out and won all those games. But this team has been more like they've made the most of what they have, but I don't know if they have the elite talent yet.
Ira Schoffel, warchant.com. Ira, it's a heck of an opportunity for Florida State on Friday night. I mean, what they did to Miami was just a beating a couple of weeks ago, 45-3. And if they put one on Florida on Friday night, I mean, this is their state right now. For the first time in many, many years, Florida State will control the state of Florida, and I imagine that is a powerful tool to use, not only recruiting high school kids, but obviously in the transfer portal as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's been since 2016 since FSU has beaten both Florida and Miami, so that would be big for them. They haven't beaten Florida since 2017, and so and the way you look at these rivalries, Florida State, Miami, and Florida State, Florida, historically have always been kind of streaks. One school will get the best of the other for 4 or 5 or 6 years, and then it'll flip the other way. So for Florida State, they beat Miami last year. They beat them again this year. This is a chance, they're a favorite of 9 or 10 points against Florida at home. If they win that game, it could say something. And then the key is now you got to capitalize on that. You need to use that in recruiting. You need to use that in the transfer portal and try to strengthen your lead so that it can become one of those runs where, you become the dominant program. That's definitely the hope for Florida State is that they could, they've got Billy Napier and Mario Cristobal are first-year coaches. Mike Norvell's got a 2-year head start. Can he get some separation now and kind of distance that lead if he can?
Ira Schoffel, warchant.com. Ira, we know this is Florida State's final home game. It is senior night. I guess there is some question as to whether it's Jordan Travis's final home game, so we'll get to him in a moment. But the senior class, what have they meant to Mike Norvell as he's come in here over the last 3 years?
It's a unique situation because, they've got a couple of guys who have been there from the Jimbo Fisher days. A couple of guys that signed in 2017 have been here forever. And, so those guys have stayed through 3 different coaching staff, which is pretty remarkable. Then you have some of these seniors who came in under Willie Taggart and stayed through Mike Norvell's tenure. And then you have some that came in as transfers. Dylan Gibbons on the offensive line, a few other guys that came in midway through their careers transfers, and they'll be seniors too. So they've played a huge role, but they've kind of come from different, just different backgrounds to come together at this point. It's not a huge senior class, but I do think there are probably some juniors because of the COVID year. A lot of guys are still classified as juniors, but have already been at Florida State. This is their 5th year. So I think some of those guys will be walking as well who aren't necessarily seniors from an eligibility standpoint, but I think this will probably be their last game at Florida State.
The turnaround Jordan Travis has made, and you and I have talked about this, from where he was when he arrived on campus to even as recently as, say, 2 years ago to where he is now, one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC. It's been an amazing transformation, and amazingly enough, he has another year of eligibility if he so chooses. Ira, what's the thought about Jordan Travis over there? Is this his final game, or is there a chance he comes back as well?
I think there's definitely a chance he comes back. I think he's going to be weighing his options. I think part of it's going to depend on what he hears back from the NFL about his prospects, and is he a mid-round pick? Is he nobody? I don't think anybody thinks he's an early round pick just because of his physical size at quarterback, and he's not. There's only one Lamar Jackson. I don't think he's viewed in that capacity. So, if he's a mid-round pick, maybe. If he's a late-round pick, maybe that makes it more attractive to stay. And, now with the NIL opportunities, he's done a very good job. He's got a manager who handles all his NIL engagements and merchandise and all that. And I think he's done really well in that area. So, if he comes back, I think there's an attractive case Florida State can make to him that, look, if you come back, you'll be a Heisman candidate early in the year. You will the NIL deals you've had this year will magnify next year. You'll have a lot of these really important weapons around you returning as well, and that could even elevate your stock higher. But if he's projected to be a middle round pick in the NFL, where he feels like there's a good chance he's going to make a roster and make the NFL minimum, then maybe you go. But I think they've got a compelling case. If I had to say right now, my guess is it's probably better than 50% he stays, but I don't think it's a slam dunk.
Couple of more for Ira Schoffel, warchant.com. All right, Ira, let's get to the game, the Friday night aspect of it. I'm not a big fan of Friday night college football. I think it takes away from the high school kids. I've just never liked it. Having said that, Florida State's been on down times, and people are looking at this being on Black Friday as, well, this is where the rivalry is. I'm looking at it as they didn't have a prayer of being on prime time on Saturday night. They're getting on prime time on Friday night. So from that standpoint, if you're looking at that part of the argument, I think it's a good thing for the rivalry that it's a nationally televised game on Friday.
Yeah, and that's really how TV sold it, I think, to the schools. That, look, you're going to get lost. Where Florida State and Florida was coming into the season, Florida State had just had a losing season. Florida had just fired their head coach and had a new coaching staff coming in. There wasn't going to be a lot of excitement on this game on a Saturday with all those other big rivalry games, and it was going to get lost. And it has been getting lost the last few years. And so, give it a chance to put it on its own, because we've seen through the years, you could have two average teams playing on a Monday night or even a Thursday night, but certainly when there's Monday night games, the Labor Day night games, or the Sunday before the season, those games get huge audiences because they're the only game on. So even if this wasn't a good season for either team, it would still be a marquee game. Well, now it's kind of worked out perfectly for Florida State because they're 8-3. They've had this season where they've had a lot of big wins. There's a lot of excitement, and now they get to play a game at home. Should be a great crowd. Should be really a commercial for Florida State and Doak Campbell Stadium. And then if you win the game to go 9-3, it really could be a big moment for Mike Norvell in this program. It's a huge opportunity for them that I think you're right. There's a downside to playing Friday night, but there could be a real big positive if it works out well for Florida State.
It's a terrific opportunity, and that kind of leads me into the game itself. I know a lot of Gator fans. I'm sure you do as well. Not one of them I know, family, friends, etc., think Florida has a prayer of winning this game. It's a terrible matchup for the Gators. It's at night in Tallahassee. We know what Doak Campbell Stadium is at night. Florida State fans smell blood in the water. Florida's wounded, and obviously they haven't beaten Florida, like you mentioned, since 2017. So every facet of this game coming into it looks like it's going to be a Florida State victory in a big way. But with that comes the fact that they actually need to do it. And if they were to get beat on Friday night, boy, that would be quite the upset at this point.
Yeah, it's not just from a X's and O's standpoint or player versus player standpoint. I think the way they played this well, Florida State's strengths should match up well against Florida's weaknesses. I think Florida State should. If you look at the way Florida's defended the run, I think Florida State's got a great running game. That's a really good sign. I think the way that Florida needs to run the ball well, but Florida State's run defense has been very good. There's a lot of things I think weighing in Florida State's favor. I think their quarterback's the more polished quarterback at this point of their career. He's played more. Jordan's had a better year overall. But there's an element to this game that almost feels like a playoff game for a team that had a surprising year. I think of if you had a team in the NFL that really overachieved and somehow went 9-7 or 10-6 and got in the playoffs for the first time in several years, and then they get bounced in the first round, that it almost takes away all that great season. This game to me for Florida State almost has like a playoff feel, and not for a team that's in the playoffs every year, but the team that has that one big run, and this is their chance, and then they lose in the wild card round, and it's like, well, what did we really accomplish? So I think this game, it's going to change how people perceive this season. You win it, it's going to feel like this was the huge turnaround year. If you lose it and you lose to Florida at home after Florida's had a bad year, that's going to be it's going to diminish what they've done in these first 10 weeks.
Final moments, Ira Schoffel, warchant.com. Final question before we get to a prediction. Mike Norvell, the thought on him in the Florida State community, Ira, now between what it was on August the 15th? How much different is it?
Yeah, it's completely different. I think there were a lot of fans that really liked him and liked the message he was delivering and liked some of the things he had done and thought there was promise there. But there was a large segment of the fan base that was definitely wait and see. I don't know that there were a ton of rational people who wanted him gone before the season because they know what a mess he inherited. But there were plenty of people who were concerned and not really necessarily all bought in. But I think that's changed. And, especially when you look back, they beat LSU and the year LSU is now having, nobody realized how good of a win that might have really been at the time. They've exercised some of the demons in terms of, the way they beat Miami. They've won games. They've played really well in games where they're supposed to win. You mentioned that at the very beginning. They're not just winning games that they're supposed to win, but they're really handling their business, taking care of it, really professional approach. And then they've won some of these big games as well. So yeah, I think I would say the fan base is all bought in on Mike Norvell. I would imagine Florida State's going to have to give him another deal extension at the end of the season. And I don't think anybody will be complaining about it. Sometimes when a coach gets an extension after one good year, people are like, what are we doing? I think most people are excited about the future of Mike Norvell.
All right, Ira, leave us with this. Conventional wisdom, Florida State wins the game. How do you see it, though? Is it a tough ball game for the Seminoles, or do they win it going away?
I think it'll be tougher than the last month for sure. I mean, part of why they've been so dominant the last month, they haven't really played any dynamic quarterbacks. And so Anthony Richardson certainly is that, especially when he's playing well. So I think it's going to be a good game early. But I do think Florida State's a better team. I think they play cleaner. I think they play, they don't give up a lot of big plays. In Florida, I think for Florida to win this game, they're going to have to hit 5, 6, 7 huge plays because I don't think they can just drive up and down the field against this defense. But Florida State's defense has done a very good job of not giving up big plays. So I think Florida State's offense is going to do what they do. They're going to score in the 30s. And so I think Florida State's probably going to win it. I think 35 to 14 or 17, somewhere in that range. I think Florida State's just a better football team at this point in time, third year in the program versus Billy Napier's first season.
Ira Schoffel, warchant.com. Ira, thank you for the time, my friend. Know you're busy this week. Have a terrific Thanksgiving. We'll talk again soon.
You too. Thanks, Ryan.
Well, there you go. Thank you to Ira Schoffel, warchant.com, for joining us here on Hacker After Dark. It should be a good one on Friday night, Florida and Florida State. Of course, you'll get the game right here on 1010XL Radio in Jacksonville. My goodness, we were busy on this Thanksgiving Eve edition of Hacker After Dark. We have a ton of people to thank, including Ira Schoffel, warchant.com, my man Leon Searcy, former Jaguar offensive tackle. You get him every day on XL Primetime. You also get him weekly here with me on Hacker After Dark. Thank you to Bryant McFadden, former Florida State Seminole, was a Super Bowl winner in the National Football League. Really enjoyed talking Florida and Florida State with him, as well as Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars. And finally, my friend Mike Huguenin, On3.com, to look ahead to a big weekend, a rivalry weekend in the world of college football. That'll do it for the week here on Hacker After Dark. Of course, Thanksgiving tomorrow. We are off on Friday for Black Friday. Everybody have a terrific Thanksgiving. You will hear Florida and Florida State right here on 1010XL Friday night. You will hear Jacksonville and Baltimore right here on 1010XL on Sunday afternoon. Dylan Denmark was your producer this evening. Dylan, great job as always. I'm the Hacker Ryan Green. And Jacksonville, thank you for spending part of your Wednesday evening with us right here on Hacker After Dark on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. So for all of us here on HAD, have an absolutely terrific remainder of your Wednesday evening, and we will talk to you next week after a long 4-day weekend. Until then, have an absolutely terrific Thanksgiving, everybody.
This month, the Key Buick GMC received 3.99% financing for up to 72 months on Buick Enclave and Vision, Encore and Encore GX. The stunning Buick Envision is here, and it's been named the best luxury compact SUV by Consumer Reports, and Key has them in stock. As always, whenever you purchase a brand new Buick or GMC from Key, it comes with the lifetime powertrain warranty and no dealer markups. Your service headquarters, fast and convenient, Key Buick GMC on the corner of South Side and Gate.
Googans, do you suffer with neck or back pain? My friend Dr. Alan Nathans at Disc Centers of America on Bay Meadows Road helps people diagnosed with bulging, herniated, and degenerated discs, sciatica, or stenosis. Dr. Nathans uses that DRX 9000 non-surgical spinal decompression table to gently unbulge and unherniate discs that are causing sciatica. Don't do another cortisone injection. Stay active and healthy as you get older. Dancing at 50, golf at 60, the river run at 70. Yes, yes, and yes. DrNathans.com.
Get Gators play-by-play on 1010XL.
Gators!
Florida Gators basketball on 1010XL is brought to you by Renewal by Anderson, the official window and door replacement partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and by Anajar and Levine Accident